Karen Bass of California. Congresswoman Bass, I want to give you a chance to react to what you just heard from either Mr. Kudlow or Admiral Giroir.
Well, I think both of them are so sad. You know, for the Admiral, I know that he knows better. We are not testing where we should be. The virus is not being contained. The states that Kudlow ticked off as though it was something small is almost a third of the population of the United States. We have over 140,000 people who are dead. Vice President Pence said a month ago that things were getting so much better. 40,000 people have died since then. This is the United States of America. When will the administration develop a national strategy? This is just so tragic. And Kudlow was speaking like a multimillionaire.
Well, he is a multimillionaire. I want to ask you about the coronavirus relief bill. Democrats want to keep that additional $600 in weekly unemployment benefits on top of state unemployment benefits. Kudlow's not 100% wrong when he says that there is an issue there. According to a May survey, nearly 1 in 5 small businesses had an employee decline a job offer in order to remain unemployed. Now, look, again, obviously most Americans want to get back to work, but there are some, according to the survey, who are, in the midst of this pandemic, perhaps understandably, opting to take the government money instead of going back to work. Now, the Republican approach to get these folks back to work is to give them 70% of their previous income, capped at that. Do you agree that it's a problem, and what is your solution?
Well, I mean, it might be a problem in some places, but the idea that you would cut it across the board, I think makes no sense at all. There are some states where the cost of living is a heck of a lot higher, like my state in California. And as you pointed out, there are a lot of people who are not going back to work because they know it's not safe. There's also an awful lot of people that don't have the jobs to go back to. So I think that this is all about essentially a state of denial, that we should just get the economy back and everything is going to go away. And as you pointed out, the economy is not going to get better until we have control over this virus. And so I want to know why you would let people suffer like this. The Republicans have had the HEROES Act for over 2 months, sitting there in their chamber. Why would you wait until people are to the point of running out of their benefits? And they still haven't come up with a plan. So they're fighting between themselves.
So let's talk about how to contain the virus, because obviously it's not just the responsibility of the Trump administration. It's also states and county directors and mayors. You represent part of Los Angeles County. And now, according to the LA County Health Director, coronavirus is set to become one of the leading causes of death in your county. One of the leading causes of death. LA County has more than 40% of the coronavirus positive cases in the entire state of California. As of right now, LA County has no plans to shut down. In addition to being a congresswoman, you're a former physician's assistant, you're a nurse. If it were up to you, would LA County re-implement stay-at-home orders?
Well, you know, LA County is evaluating that, and that is very possible. You know what, it's also very sad, because in California and in LA County, you know, we were very aggressive. Our county and our state did what they were supposed to do. But in hindsight, I think that we opened a little too quickly. And that has been the problem. Now, one thing that I have confidence in LA County and LA City is that our mayor and our board of supervisors, they are going to follow the science. That will be what determines whether or not we open or we close. You really can't go anywhere in LA without seeing people with masks on. So it just shows how challenging this virus is. But if you think about many other states where the governor is saying one thing, the governors and the mayors are fighting people, you can understand why that's not under control. But LA County has done what it should have done in the beginning, opened a little bit too fast, and I know we'll follow the science. If the science says shut down, I know we will shut down.
Well, you know what the science is. I mean, I'm just asking you a hypothetical. If you were in charge of LA County, would you go back to stay-at-home orders in order to reduce the spread of this deadly virus? Yes or no?
If I were in charge of LA County, I would go back to that, and I would be very, very conservative about how we opened up. And so you know that you need to show a certain amount before you open back up. There needs to be a time period around 3 weeks, and I think that we didn't strictly adhere to that. So yes, I would go back and I would reopen very, very conservatively.
The Vice President Joe Biden, who is the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee, has said that his first criteria for picking a running mate is that that person be ready on day one to be president of the United States. You are one of the finalists, a contender to become Joe Biden's vice presidential nominee. Are you ready to be president on day one?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to get into that specifically, but let me just tell you that I want to do whatever the vice president needs. If he calls on me to do, if he wants me to go out and safely walk precincts, I would be happy to do that. I am so concerned about where our country is at this point in time. We have had a president that has just torn us apart, and I'm willing to serve my country in whatever way I am called upon to serve my country.
Enthusiasm for Joe Biden is much less than it is for President Trump among supporters, among people who intend to vote for that person. And criminal justice reform is a big, important issue for you and has been for years. How do you rally people in your district to support Joe Biden, who backed and wrote the 1994 crime bill and has said a number of things that people in the black community, people in the progressive community find upsetting?
Oh, I don't have a problem with that at all. I was very involved in the crime bill from the opposite perspective many, many years ago, and I understand very well why elected officials did what they did, because the masses of the people in these communities were demanding it. I thought there was another way to go. I think people understand that now, and I'm confident in the direction that Joe Biden would pursue. I know what the policies are in terms of criminal justice reform that have been put forward by the Unity Task Force that just finished. There was the Biden-Sanders Task Force. There's Joe Biden's policies that he had before the task force. So I know that criminal justice reform is going to be a major part of his administration. And what I'm interested in, and going to be introducing legislation this week, is focusing on women in the criminal justice system.
Finally, Congresswoman, I want to turn to the death of your friend, the late Congressman, civil rights icon John Lewis. 55 years after Bloody Sunday, Congressman Lewis's body is crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama for the last time. Tomorrow, his body will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. What will you be thinking about tomorrow when you visit him?
Just the profound loss of such an incredible hero, the most respected member of Congress, from the House, the Senate, Democrats, Republicans. And I think that we all need to honor him in the best way possible. And that means that we need to pass the Voting Rights Act, and we need to make sure that all Americans that are eligible to vote can vote in 100 days. And I think we need to take his memory into the polling places, or hopefully voting from home to do that. Such a giant, such a humble man, just a man that everybody loved. And tomorrow is going to be a very, very somber day. But we have to not be so somber. We have to celebrate his life, too. I know that that's what he would want. He would want us to not stop, to continue fighting, and to get in good trouble.